Welcome to the Geek Easy Fellow Geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today, I am going to be doing a review of Batman War Games Omnibus. Published by DC. Let's see, what printing is this? It's, I don't know what, copyright 2025. I don't know. But, let's just go over this here real quick. It contains, collects Batgirl 53, 55 through 57, Batman 631 through 634, 642 through 644, Batman Allies Secret Files and Origins 2005, Batman Gotham Knights 55 through 58, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight 183, 184, Batman The 12 Cent Adventure, Catwoman 34 through 36, Detective Comics 790 through 800, 809 and 810, Nightwing 96 through 98, Robin 126 through 31, and stories from Batman Villain Secret Files and Origins 2005, and Solo number 10. You know, have to put that in there. Now, let's get started. Okay, so this is a review of Batman War Games, which came out in, originally came out in 2004-2005. So I finished it a little earlier this morning, about 5-6 hours ago. But, you know, I had to give myself some time to think about this and everything. So, I had never really heard of this before that I remember. Up until fairly recently, I was up at my LCS, and they have this little kind of a tent out in front where they'll put half-price stuff out in at a table in the front where they'll, you know, sell things that they're having a problem selling. And they had War Games, 2 of the 3 trades, and I bought them, and it's okay, you know, I can get these, and I needed to get the 3rd one because 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to, you know, start reading it and then not know what was going on. I should have checked before I came out here to see if it was 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. But either way, I wouldn't have known everything that was going on in it. So I needed to get number 1. So, you know, and I'm a, you know, I don't like not knowing what's going on in something. And 2, I'm a completist. Which I guess if you put these 2 together, it kind of means the same thing. But let's just go with that. Okay. So I went home, got online, I went to in-stock trades and then organic price books to see if they had the one I was looking for, and found out like the very next day was going to be, the Omni was going to be released. So I said, well, okay. Omni was going to have more stuff anyway, so I ordered it and had to wait for a little bit to get it in. So I guess War Games was just going to have the major plot points to it, and then I guess the Omni was going to have stuff leading up to it, you know, kind of like a road to, and then some stuff, a little stuff afterwards, like the conclusion. Okay, works for me. So as I was waiting for it to show up, you know, the good thing about getting it on things like that is you get it a lot cheaper. The bad part is it takes time to get here. You know, I'm not in the contiguous states. I'm in Alaska, so it takes a little bit more time to get here, so you have to wait. You know, it is medium mail, so getting it from, you know, what we call the lower 48, you know, all the connected states up here can be a little extra time. So during that time, I started looking up stuff on YouTube just to, you know, kind of get as many non-spoiler stuff as I could, or, you know, avoid major spoilers, find out what it was about and all this stuff, and then, you know, see what people thought. But, you know they say about opinions. They're like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all stink. So, for what it's worth, here's my opinion. Do with it on the story on this. Do with it what you will. All right. So let's go over the plot first. Now, the plot being Tim Drake has retired. He's quit being Batman. Robin. A couple different reasons. One, he promised his dad that he'd quit, and then I guess a little later on his father died. But he had promised his dad that he was going to quit, and so he can't do it. And Batman is in need of a new Robin. People keep saying, you know, you need a new Robin. You're going to need a new Robin. And so Stephanie Brown, you know, the vigilante named Spoiler, is kind of and Tim's kind of on again, off again girlfriend is lobbying for the job, you know, because she really wants it. You know, Batman, you know, when she was Spoiler, he didn't like having her around because, you know, she wasn't really disciplined and all that good. But for some reason, he's just like, okay, let's do it. So he starts training her on the condition that, you know, there's certain things if she did, she would get fired. And eventually, she does one of those things and gets fired. But what he didn't know and what we didn't know was during her tenure as Robin, she looked up on, she was going through his files, and she comes across this contingency plan called War Games, in which Batman had come up with this plan to consolidate all the gangs under the control of one person, Matches Malone. She's like, you know, this is, I guess, while she was still Robin, and she's like, she really wanted to impress him, so she initiates the plan without knowing one vital piece of the information, which we all happen to know, that Bruce Wayne is Matches Malone. So the plan went to shit. And, you know, obviously it leads to, you know, huge gang wars, you know, loss of life. You know, you've got the Bat family strained because, you know, people, you know, are out of, you know, he's missing certain people. It leads to huge mistrust between the new police commissioner and the police, with Batman thinking, you know, that he's involved somehow because there's somebody else behind the scenes manipulating the gangs, taking advantage of this to manipulate the gangs to try and take control. So that person's using the situation to regain control and make Batman discredit Batman. So he's got that going, and just boom, and they have to try and solve everything. Just a giant cluster foxtrot. I won't use the actual word. So, and he has to deal with. They have to deal with everything, and just it obviously gets worse before things get better. Now, maybe that moves a little bit too much of the plot, but that's what we're getting at. Now, I want to go over what I think are the good points. One of the things that I really liked is they kept it at street level, which a lot of the stuff in the main title does. Batman is a street level vigilante. Batwoman, Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, all these people, street level vigilantes, heroes. They shouldn't be dealing with these big galactic things. Like Darkseid or someone trying to the end of the end of the universe type stuff. And so that's one thing, and it kept this, as they do in a lot of the main titles for Batman, they kept it down there, which was awesome. They really had spent a lot of time dealing with his detective skills that he had to, use on the fly. Because a lot of times they'll have, he'll know stuff ahead of time. So this, this is a plan that hadn't gone according to what he needed, so he has to try and do his detective work on the fly while doing other things. That made it really good. And, it had him operating under pressure, which you don't really see a lot. So that was really good, And one of the bad things, the major bad thing in there, was the art. Now, when you have a huge event like this, which is over a variety of different titles, now this actually includes some of the big, events, all the Crisis events, or name any event in any title, really. You're gonna have it over, a bunch of different titles, and this was all like the Bat family titles. You're gonna have different artists for different titles. That's one artist can't do the art for 5-6 different titles. It's not gonna happen. So you're gonna have different art styles. Normally, like when you're reading them separately, it's not that bad. Because that style is consistent with that one title. So everything on, say, Detective, or everything on Batman, it's the same. You don't really notice it, and then you're reading Robin, it's all simple. But then when you have this, you're gonna see the differences in style, and with this, there was some really major differences in the style. You have, stuff that looked sort of like cartoonish, and I don't know if that was intentional for those issues or not, but it didn't suit the tone of the book, and so you're sitting there, and it's kind of distracting where you're going different art styles, and I guess that really can't be helped. But one of the other things was with Batgirl. This is the Cassandra Cain version of Batgirl. She's got that black thing covering her whole face, right, with the eyes, and usually it's portrayed thick enough that you really can't make out any features. It's just covering her whole face. But some of them are done that way, and then other ones, it's it's like it's tight enough that you can, it's like just like a piece of cloth tied over her face or something, and you can make out her lips and stuff like that, and it's just not consistent, and that got a bit distracting, or at least in my case. Okay. And now, then the bad thing was the last story. That was the bad thing. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so it's been 20 years since this happened. I think everyone knows what happened in this, so I think I can actually kind of speak on this without, it's like it's been 20 years. If you're like me and you didn't know about it until now, that would be sort of like on me or on you. If you don't want to listen to this, skip ahead a little bit. I guess I'll try and motion when I'm done with it, but okay. So this regards Stephanie's death in the book. Right. Now, I didn't have a problem with her dying. I mean, actually I sort of liked the fact that they had her die. It shows that there's consequences for stuff, and this is a dangerous job. It's a, you can get hurt or you can die doing this if you mess up, or if even if you make the best of decisions, which she didn't. You can die, and so she died. They were showing that it affected people and all that stuff. And I can understand, I wouldn't have minded if it was she had, died because of succumbing to injuries the injuries she received. And I'm not gonna go so far as to say exactly how it happened because anyway. But if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The part that pissed me off was the fact they had Dr. Leslie Tompkins, the pacifist doctor who held life above everything else, who would, lecture Bruce and everybody else about the sanctity of life, which is trust me, that's a good thing. But even about the violence that they used, and choosing death and all that. Let her die to prove a point. I mean, that's just bullshit. Bovine scatology, as I've heard some people say. I mean, that's just that's a horrible excuse, and two, that's so out of character for that. For her, I mean, it's just it just didn't. If they had just allowed her to, it wasn't a choice, and she couldn't have saved her, that she died, that would have made it so much, or at least easier to deal with. But they do that, and then the fact that they had, Bruce as Batman, I guess when he's talking to her, there's really no difference between the two, because she knows threatening to, because she's out of the country at this point, threatening to have her arrested if she comes back to the States, and or if he finds out that she's practicing medicine again. This woman has been known him all his life and has been a trusted advisor to him, and then he does that. It's like, no, that's no. I mean, he can forgive Jason Todd for the stuff he did as the Red Hood and all that, but he won't do this. No. Okay, so now let me just give you, that's kind of a summary. Let me give you my review. I really, aside from that last story, I really enjoyed this book, or this event. I think it's one of the better events. I like it better than Nightfall. I haven't read every big thing, but of all the stuff that I've read, it's up there with my favorites. It's gritty, it's dirty. You've got Batman under pressure. You've got him, like I said, using his detective skills, his fighting skills. You got him pressed to the limits, which I guess happens in a lot of stuff. But it actually has him. It kind of strains everything because it gets him back to the beginning. The police are pissed off at him. They have orders to shoot on sight, so he doesn't have the police to kind of back him up. He can't just go drop people off at the police station, so he's got to evade the police. He's got no allies because Nightwing is down because he got hurt. You've got a couple of Tim Drake is off in Bloodhaven with a couple other people. Commissioner Gordon and Oracle are they've left because of something that happened to Oracle, to Barbara. So he's pretty much on his own with Alfred and Nightwing while he's recovering. And so that is just good. And the pacing was just, despite what some other people said, I really liked the pacing on this. And it was just, I tore through this book when I had the chance. I'd go through, 150, 200 pages a day when I had the chance. And it was just awesome. So I'm going to give it a 4.75. No. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5 because, there was that last story kind of took it down, and then the art took it down a little bit. But otherwise, it was one of my favorite storylines of Batman, and right up there with Fugitive and Murderer and No Man's Land and all that. And this takes place after both of them, as far as I know. I don't know, it takes place after No Man's Land. But yeah, so if you have the chance, get it. I think it's on all. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on In-Stock Trades. You can get it on Organic Price Books. Everywhere. So, if you like good events, this is an event that you should get. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you read it and what you thought of it. Let me know if you agree with me. If you don't, just let me know either way. And like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, enjoy your Batman books.